everybody, Carrot here, and today I'm playing Kerbal Space Program, and I'm going to be giving you a tutorial on how to dock to your space station. So for this tutorial, I'm going to assume you already have something in orbit which can be docked to, and also I'm going to assume you can get into orbit, but once on your rocket, when you're in orbit, I suggest you have a large supply of RCS fuel, some sort of throttling, so that way you can actually get to your space station, and also solar panels so that way your space station can keep going. Okay, I'll meet you up in orbit. Okay everyone, this is my current space station that we're going to be trying to fly to. Um, it's on a fairly even orbit of about 218 kilometers, so 218, 217, there we go. So I've already got a ship up for us up in orbit. The KISS Part 2, I've called it the KISS, the Kerbal International Space Station, and it's just Part 2 because I've been using the same part for pretty much the whole thing, as you can see here. So we're going to try to connect it up to here, and then that'll be the next stage of my awesome space station complete. So I'll meet you at the next spacecraft. Okay, this is the rocket I'm going to be using to get into orbit, or to connect to my space station. So as you can see, it has a connector thing up the top here, and then 4 connector things around the side here. It also has just a whole ton of useless junk on it, which you put on it just to make it look cool and to make it do its job. So, what you do first is you have a look at your orbit, then you compare it to your space station's orbit. I've got a fair bit of space junk up here, so you can see that that's at 218 and we're at 84,000 and going down. So that means that we need to increase our orbit around here. But first, what you want to do is you want to click on your space station, left click, and click set as target. Now this will give you an idea of where you need to be. So as you can see here, we're negative 1.6 degrees off our target, which means we'll need to throttle up, and we'll see what happens after that. Basically, the idea of docking is you want your orbit to be perfectly in line with the space station you're at, and then you'll and pretty much in line with it. So our space station's just on top of us. So what I'll do is I'll flip around, and then I'll speed us up. So I'll see you once I've flipped around. So as you can see, we're coming up here. If you do this, you can see, so we'll start firing up, and you can see this is getting smaller. We'll slowly get smaller as we fire up. There we go. Okay. Now, as you can see here, we have 2 of these random red dots. Now, these basically mean that we'll be 387 kilometers apart when I meet up with the space station. So the space station will be here, and I will be here. So basically, you want to try to bring this in. So as you can see, as we throttle up a bit more, we're bringing that in slowly. Very slowly. And then, of course, we got another 2. So always check to make sure which one's best for you. So that one's getting smaller, faster than this one. So we'll probably go with this one to start off with. You want to get this down to about 10 or 15 kilometers, so that way you can meet up with your space station just using fine adjustments. So 30, 20, oh, okay, let's just make sure we can go a tiny bit closer. No, it looks like we're getting further away. Okay, we are. Okay, if you want to, you can use your RCS thrusters. That might reduce. Only barely though. Oh well, that's sort of a waste. Okay, so turn your RCS off, otherwise you'll never end up using them. And now what you'll do is you'll just wait. If you don't get this, just try to increase your orbit about until it's sort of equal or in line with this. Have one going slightly under and one going slightly over, just to make sure. And you should meet up with it eventually. Make sure that you've set your target. And if you lose the target, you can always just left click on it again. For some reason it always says test orbiter, even though I click on this. Anywho, I'll meet up with you once we're at this first target intersect. So as you can see here, in about 26 seconds, we will reach this, and then the space station will be here. So we'll be 334.5 k's apart. So that gives you an idea of what's going to happen over here. So over here we're going to be, so there we go. We're going to be 21.8 k's apart, which is okay. You could go a little closer, which would be better, but you that's probably the minimum you should be away from it. So let's speed up to the next one. Okay, you want to stop about 2 minutes out just to make sure that all's well. So as you can see, if we were to look under us, there's our spacecraft there, 36 kilometers away. Now, what you want to try to do is, you can see your target speed here, if I'm trying to point with my finger, not with my mouse. You want to get that down to roughly 0, thereabouts. But you want to wait until you're roughly as close to it as you can get, otherwise it sort of becomes a pointless task. Because if you're 30 kilometers away, that means you'll stay 30 kilometers away the whole time. So just have a little test fire to make sure that if you do this, see how target speed's increasing, you don't want that happening. So we want to move up and away. Basically, you just want to hinge around this pink dot, and usually the dot which is pointing in the exact opposite direction of the way you're going. That'll usually help slow you down. Okay, so maybe at 30 seconds we'll start firing. We'll just make sure that this one's okay. Whoops. Okay, that's still increasing our target speed, so let's go up a bit more. Basically, this is sort of like just guess and check. You just have to... There we go. So as you can see, that's slowly reducing our target speed. So you can fire up now to try to increase your speed. You can play around with it, make sure that you're going. So as you can see, the further up we go, the closer, the faster it starts to move, which is always a good thing. So it was probably best that we were facing the other way. So now you can see we're 19 kilometers, which is closer than what we ever would have been. You preferably want to get down to about 50 meters a second. So once you're here and you're not sure what to do, always keep checking on this. So now we're going to be 18.4 kilometers away. So we've already reached as close as we're going to get. So we're going to have to go back up here and try again. So as you can see, that's decreasing our speed again, which is always good. Now it's sort of increasing, so you want to stop there. Basically, you'll just keep playing with it until your target's done. So once I'm down to roughly about 50, I'll bring you back in. Okay, right now I'm at 42 meters per second, so we want to try to... Really what you want to try to do is get your direction you're heading in the center line of this pink thing here. Again, I'm trying to point with my finger, which doesn't help much for you guys. So as you can see, we're slowing down to about 16 meters a second, 14. Okay, we're starting to speed up again, so we need to fix that. Let's go back up. So as you can see, because we're 20 kilometers away, our speed can change because we're actually going further and further away from it. Wait, now we're going closer. Let's just double check this thing. So up here, we're going to be 10.5 kilometers away, which is a good sign. It's a very good sign. So as you can see now, this dot here, it's coming up. You want to try to get that into the very center. So go down a bit to help speed it up, and then once it's sort of in the middle, you kind of want to stop. So all this means is we're heading directly towards it. So about there. So now we're going to be 1 kilometer away from it, which is exactly what we want. So what we're going to have to do now is flip around to make sure that... Undo your SAS. Flip around to make sure that we can actually slow down, we don't go whooshing past it. So now we're at 0.9. So, like I said, it's just playing around, making sure it's different for every mission, so unless of course you have some perfect way of doing it, it's very unlikely you'll ever have the exact same thing. Sometimes all of my missions I can pretty much get to my space station, This is actually my second attempt at this video. Last attempt, as I pressed F9 to start recording, it went back to the launch pad, which wasn't very fun. So we just want to wait until we're about 2Ks away from it, just to make sure. So now that we're here, turn our RCS off because we don't want to waste that, and because we only have 602 left. So now we'll wait. I'll bring you back in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay, we're roughly 2Ks away from it now. Here we go. Okay, so we're 17 seconds away. Now we want to reduce our target speed, so we best throttle up. Try to reduce that as much as we can. To about, there we go, 5.6 meters, that's perfect. That's what we want. Now, sorry, I get a bit of lag when I look at the planet. I'm on my laptop here, so it isn't the fastest computer, but it does its job. So now, if we look at this, are we going to get any closer? No, we're not. We're slowly getting further away from it. So what you want to do now is you want to... Pretty much we've run out of fuel, so I'm going to disconnect this stage so that way we have some better control. Now, you want a small rocket on this one, just to make sure you're okay, because otherwise that can become problematic. See, this is how I get all my space junk, because I always release a stage up around here. So as you can see, we're heading away from it, because this dot's going away. That's not good, so we'll flip around and we'll try to get that back into order. Basically, it's a very slow process coming in. You don't want to come in more than 20 meters a second, otherwise you will slam straight into your spacecraft. Which hasn't happened to me yet, because I take a lot of precautions, but I don't want it to ever happen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slowly fire up towards our spacecraft, and we'll see how that goes. So let's just get back into the middle, and we'll be good. So, firing now. So as you can see, that's slowly changing around the direction we're heading. And, so after this, you sort of want to use your RCS thrusters to try to get this in. So what you'll be using, H and N, will bring you forwards and backwards, like this. Oops. So H, that's H, this is N. So that N is backwards, H is forwards. It depends which way you're facing, but in this case, I will bring us down. K will bring us up. There we go. And L will bring us left or right, and J will bring us left. So, get back into the center line here. As you can see, I believe we're getting closer. So here will be, in 1 minute 10, we'll be 1.2 Ks away from it. So that's fairly good, but we need to get closer. That's not close enough. So you want to bring this down. First off though, you really want to slow yourself down. So slow yourself down by doing this. Am I pressing the... Are we going? No, I'm speeding up. That's not good. So if we slow ourselves down to about 3 meters a second, that means we're more going sort of flat with it rather than going sideways or anything. So slowing ourselves down just a little bit more. I'll bring you in once I've slowed down enough. Okay, I'm roughly at 5 meters a second, so I'm going to start firing downwards because we seem to be above it, and the other way, because that's, as you can see, our speed is decreasing, which is good. I'm sort of heading on a more diagonal direction than before, because I got to about 5 meters and then I started going up again, so that tells you that you're heading left, right, up or down, rather than forwards or backwards. So as you can see, this is coming in nice and close, which is what we want. Okay, so there we go. Bring that guy down into the very center here, so that means we're traveling straight towards our target, which is what we want. There we go. So now, anytime you use RCS, it can put off your, adjusting your course, it can put off your, which way you're heading. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to use H to speed ourselves up, and we can even use the throttle a bit because we're still 1.4 Ks away. So as you can see now, we'll be 0.5 Ks away here. So speed ourselves up to about 10 meters a second at this range. Just using my throttle a bit here. There we go. and you want to keep making sure that your green dot stays on the same track, because it will move, because our orbits aren't quite perfectly in sync yet. So there we go. I'll bring you back in. Oh, here we go. I'll bring you back in once we're about 500 meters away. That's when you need to slow down. Okay, we're approaching 500 meters here, so what we're going to do now to slow ourselves down, rather than flipping our spacecraft around, we're going to use N to bring ourselves back down to about 5 meters per second. You don't want to do it any slower than about 400 meters. You can see our space station here, you can make out its parts now. You don't want to do it any closer than 500 meters, because otherwise you run the chance of not being able to slow down fast enough, which I can tell you isn't a very good thing. So at about 100 meters, you almost want to stop, just to get an idea of where you need to connect to your spacecraft. And because mine's so big, it sort of matters a bit more, because I have to go right the way around. So you can make out all the different capsules now. So I believe, from what I can see, we need to go up the top, up there. That's pretty much where we want to go. So keeping an eye on this thing to make sure that you stay in the middle and you don't go out. So yeah, with this, you sort of want one of these. Make sure you put those actual docking stations on rather than just the 4x4 pod, because otherwise you will get lost. I suggest you put a pod on the top as well, otherwise it becomes very difficult, and also a small rocket with a lot of RCS fuel. So we're about 100 meters now. Obviously, because my space station's a bit bigger, I'm going to slow down a bit beforehand. So we'll slow down. So obviously I need to come around and then face downwards if I want to be in line with my space station. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move left, not right, go around it a bit. Basically, once you're close enough, you can actually right click on the docking port that you want and click set as target, which really does help. So at the moment it doesn't look like I'm going to crash into it, which is always a good sign. Just keeping an eye on this, making sure that you're still heading the right way. There we go. So yeah, that's where I want to go. So right click on that once I'm a bit, there we go, set as target. Perfect, beautiful. Now I want to slow myself down a bit more, because I believe I'm heading a bit fast. Very fast. No, that was speeding myself up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. I'm gonna graze this. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've never been that close to it before. Okay, I need to slow myself down. How do I slow myself down? Okay, that's slowing myself down. I was pressing the wrong button. My bad. My bad. That was not good. I've never been that close to my... Oh, what is that? That scares me. That was probably my debris I just had before. Oh, I've never been that close to my space station. That's not good. So, I want to be facing down, so I think I need to be facing north to do that. It's a bit weird once you're up in space, because there really is no up and down. So, yes, once we get up a bit, we need to start heading back. Okay, you know you're going slowly when your computer thing's spazzing out, so I believe we're heading towards it at 0.4 meters per second. You sort of want to get in line with it again, just to make sure. Because as you get closer to it, you'll slowly go in line with it. So now I feel a bit better about what I'm doing. That was a real scare. I've never done that before. Okay. I was pressing the wrong button. I saw my speed go up and I'm like, no, 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 I can't get out of this one, so I just decided to go sideways. Kind of like the Titanic. They couldn't slow down, so they decided to go sideways, but they didn't make it. Anywho, so 47 meters. We're getting closer. Now, just to remake sure, I want to make sure that I can set that as target if I can get in between. There we go. Docking port. My bad. Okay. So it looks like to face down we need to stay on this line. So I'll just bring myself over so that way I'm facing down and it'll be easier to control. There we go, it looks like we need to be at 100 degrees. Okay, perfect. Do one of those ones, and I believe now you can see we're slowly getting closer. Takes a while. This is always the boring part where you're coming in. You don't really want to be traveling faster than zero point 0.2 meters per second, otherwise you're going places. Okay, so as you can see we're heading down. We don't want to do that. We want to go back up. And we also want to head that way. So that's good. Okay, so after a few more random maneuvers of 4 minutes worth of footage, make sure you're in line and over the top, and then, yeah, you can start accelerating. Back to the video. Okay, we're pretty much in line with it now, so what you want to do is, I'm just going to get rid of this because we're in some sort of awkward position here. You want to start firing down using your H and N, so just make sure you're firing the right way. We appear to be doing that. Now when you actually connect to it, there's like magnets, so you'll automatically just hook up with it. You need to keep making sure you're not going anywhere too problematic with this. Nope, wrong way. There we go. Just make sure you don't have any sideways momentum this way. Try this again. As you can see, we're going sideways, so you want to fix that. Wrong button again. I'm hopeless at doing this docking. Never goes well for me. Okay, here we go. Coming in. There we go. As you can see, the magnets are clipping on, and get rid of T and R. That's causing problems. And voila, we're one space station. So I hope that helped you. I love this crater here. It's so cool. I hope that helped you. It was a bit of a risky mission, but they all are, aren't they? So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. So I hope you can join your space station up like mine. And then there's the debris again. I'm so scared when I do missions to other planets that debris is just going to smash this thing up, because if a debris hit somewhere here or here, it could just mess the whole thing up. Oh well, anyway, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time.